It all began on March 19th, 2016. A Saturday, quiet, ordinary. John Podesta, campaign chairman for Hillary Clinton, was preparing for another day on the trail. Meetings, strategy, messaging, the usual. But at 4:34 a.m., an email arrived in his Gmail inbox. The subject line read the following: "Someone has your password." It looked like a routine security alert from Google. It warned that someone in Ukraine had tried to access his account. And there at the bottom of the message was a blue button: change password now. Podesta did not click the link himself, but however, he did forward the email to his IT staff. And that right there was the moment the breach began. Because the link was not from Google, it was a trap. A phishing email crafted by Russian intelligence, designed to look authentic, and it worked. Within hours, John Podesta's Gmail account was compromised. Within days, hackers had access to tens of thousands of emails. And within months, the contents of those emails would be published all around the world. Not just personal correspondence, not just internal strategy, but conversations at the highest levels of a U.S. presidential campaign, all exposed, and now weaponized, and spun into a media and disinformation storm. This wasn't just a cyber attack. This was an assault on the democratic process. Welcome to Threat Level Red. I'm your host, Charles Denyer, and with episode 12, we rewind the clock to go back to 2016 and the DNC hack that shook the world.
Welcome to Threat Level Red, a Charles Denyer Productions podcast. Every week, Charles brings his real-world expertise to the front lines of America's most pressing threats: cyber attacks, extremist networks, rogue states, terrorism, economic instability, systemic breakdowns, and so much more. From the digital battleground to the streets of America, no threat is left uncovered. No spin, no filters, just intel.
It turns out that the way John Podesta's email account was not as high-tech as you might have imagined. Indeed, it might have been his own fault.
We may know how exactly the private emails of Hillary Clinton...
So let's break down exactly how the attack unfolded, because the devil, as always, is in the details. The email was sent on March 19th, 2016, with the phishing message crafted to mimic a real Google security alert. It warned of suspicious activity on Podesta's Gmail account and urged an immediate password reset. Podesta forwarded the email to a Clinton campaign aide, and doing what most of us would do, that aide escalated it to IT. But here's where the breach truly began. The Clinton campaign aide meant to write, "This is an illegitimate email." Instead, he typed, "This is a legitimate email." One word, one typo, and it changed everything. Acting on the mistaken guidance, Podesta clicked the change password button, which redirected him to a fake Google login page. He entered his real credentials. Boom. The hackers had everything they needed. They were in. The culprits were identified by U.S. intelligence as Fancy Bear, also known as APT-28, a Russian military intelligence team. They used a shortened URL called a bit.ly to disguise the malicious link and evade suspicion. From that moment forward, John Podesta's entire Gmail account was compromised, and they scraped everything, and I mean everything. Years of emails, attachments, draft messages, conversations between Podesta and the Clinton campaign's top brass. But this was just phase one. As Podesta's inbox was being emptied, the attackers were not finished. They had already breached the Democratic National Committee. Months earlier, another group, believed to be APT-29, also known as Cozy Bear, had slipped in quietly. Now both Russian intelligence units were inside the DNC network. They moved laterally, exfiltrated documents, opposition research, donor information, anything of political value. Then, in June 2016, someone new appeared online, Guccifer 2.0, a supposed lone hacker claiming credit for the breach. However, security analysts quickly concluded this was not an independent activist. This was a front, a smokescreen for Russian intelligence. Guccifer 2.0 started leaking documents to journalists. Then came WikiLeaks. Just weeks before the Democratic National Convention, WikiLeaks received nearly 20,000 DNC emails. most notably internal messages that showed clear favoritism toward Hillary Clinton over her opponent, Bernie Sanders. The political damage was immediate. DNC Chair Debbie Wasserman Schultz resigned. The party was thrown into chaos right before the convention. Trust was shattered. And the timing, it was a gift to Donald Trump that just kept giving all the way up to Election Day. The leaks weren't just about transparency. They were meant to sow division, confusion, and doubt. The attackers understood something critical. You don't need to change votes to influence an election. You just have to change minds. We often think of warfare as something that happens with tanks, planes, and missiles. But in the 21st century, war looks different, much different. It looks like a well-crafted email, a fake login page, a coordinated leak timed to inflict maximum political damage. The 2016 DNC hack wasn't just a breach, it was a psychological operation, a test of how vulnerable our democratic institutions are in the digital age. And we failed that test. Why? Because the attackers exploited the following: weak cybersecurity awareness, lack of two-factor authentication, miscommunication between staff and IT, and most of all, trust. Trust that an email was legitimate, trust that internal conversations would stay private, and trust that the democratic process could withstand a digital assault. Nearly a decade has passed since that phishing email landed in John Podesta's inbox. Phishing is still the #1 attack vector, employees still click, passwords are still reused, and far too many organizations still treat cybersecurity as just an IT issue, not the strategic priority it truly is. The DNC hack wasn't a complex zero-day exploit. It was human error, pure and simple. And that's the real lesson for executives. Even the most well-funded, high-profile operations can be compromised by a single moment of inattention. This isn't about politics. It's about resilience. Cybersecurity must be embedded into your organization's DNA. So what does that mean? It means mandatory employee training, strong access controls and identity management, multi-factor authentication, ongoing threat monitoring, and a culture where security is everyone's responsibility. Because your organization isn't just protecting data, it's protecting trust, reputation, and long-term viability in a world where information is currency and also a weapon. Ultimately, the 2016 DNC hack was more than a headline. It was a turning point, a signal that modern threats don't always come with alarms and flashing red lights. Sometimes they arrive as a routine email. One email, one click, one simple mistake. And the ripple effects can be massive, internally, publicly, and globally. The next attack may not make front-page news, but it could still damage your business, steal your IP, or erode the trust you've built over decades. So ask yourself, can your organization spot the next phishing attempt in time? Would your people hesitate before clicking? Have you built a culture of security or just installed tools and hope for the best? I help companies across the globe secure their infrastructure, protect sensitive data, and meet today's toughest compliance demands, from SOC 2, NIST RMF, CMMC to ISO 27001, and much more. If you're ready to take your cybersecurity seriously, visit charlesdenyer.com and schedule a free strategy session. Don't wait until it's your inbox that's making headlines. If this story got you thinking, and it should, well then take action. Share this episode with your leadership team. In our next episode, the Colonial Pipeline, the ransomware attack that shut down the East Coast. Thanks for listening. I'm your host, Charles Denyer. This is Threat Level Red.
Threat Level Red is a Charles Denyer Productions podcast. For more information, visit charlesdenyer.com to learn more about current and upcoming podcasts and episodes, current and future book publications, professional services offered by Charles, and much more. All opinions expressed are those of the host and do not reflect the official positions of any government agency, military branch, or national security organization.